Hello, my name is Todd Hutchison and I wanted to talk to you about fast-tracking your project management career. Now, I've been able to work around the world across many different industries and sectors and even build global businesses, all because I am a project manager. Now, if you're an experienced project manager, however, have not attained a qualification or a certification in project management to validate your expertise, you might find yourself less employable when it comes to getting a new or better job. This means you may not be able to meet the employment criteria for applying for a job independent of your actual expertise and experience. Now, in project management, we call that a risk. And let's face it, if I had two candidates that were highly experienced in project management, but one had a qualification to validate it, then as an employer, the qualified one is a safer bet. Well, if you're not the qualified one, I do have a recommendation for you to get your experience and expertise validated to gain an internationally recognised qualification. As background, I'm a practicing project manager myself, with 30 years experience having worked in over 170 organisations in 13 countries. I'm a fellow of both the Project Management Institute in Australia and the Australian Institute of Project Management, as well as being recognised as an adjunct associate professor in project management. I've also served on the Global Board of PMI, as well as been their national chairman and West Australian president, and I'm the current global chairman of the International Institute of Legal Project Management. So let's now look at the PM job market. Well, today I jumped on Seek, the online job search application. And when I typed in project manager, it surprisingly came up with over 39,000 jobs for project manager in Australia alone. Now, although that amount does not sound kind of right to me, especially when you consider a lot of the jobs are filled even without advertising online, the Australian government statistics show that from 2018, 60% of job vacancies in Australia were advertised online. Now, when we look at your opportunities, you may have heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, this is kind of partly true because who you know often brings the opportunities to you or can refer people to you. But if you then aren't good at what you do, they'll never do that again. So what I say, it largely comes down to who you know, but you've also got to be good at what you do. The other old saying that is applicable here is called the golden rule of business. And that is, people prefer to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So how do they get to know you? Because if they don't know you, how do they get to like and trust you? Well, I could have met you in person, or I could have met you at a networking event. That's why the Project Management Institute or the Australian Institute of Project Management are so important to go to their events and maintain your network, because that's how you'll help to not get into the risk of being unemployed, because you'll know people and you'll hear about jobs fast. I might have read an article, and you can even use LinkedIn to publish some articles. Or I might have even read your book. I could have seen you on some kind of list or saw that you got some award and you're in some kind of promotion. Yet to know you. But the real question is, do I know what you do? And do I know you are a real project manager? So the first question you have to ask is, why are there so many unfilled jobs in project management? And the next question is, why are recruiters having such a hard time finding the right people? Well, if you look from the perspective of a recruiter, so many people are saying that they are a project manager and they have project management experience. Well, arguably, anyone that is handed a small project in a workplace can actually call themselves a project manager. But relying on those accurate things, those factual things, those things that people never lie and they never stretch the truth document called the resume or CV. Well, that also seems problematic because people are not seeming to be totally honest in those these days. So the recruiters, well, they need some assurance that you are the right experience, training, knowledge and skills to be able to be recommended into a project manager role. After all, it is their reputation at risk when a person they recommend does not perform for one of their clients. This is why having a qualification or a certification in project management is important to validate that you are a real project manager. Now, some certifications mean more than others in the marketplace. For example, to get the Project Management Institute's Project Management Professional or PMP certification, you need at least 35 hours of project management related education, 3 to 5 years of work experience leading or directing projects, depending if you've got a degree or not, and pass their 200 question 4-hour exam. Now, I must confess, when I did the exam, I've studied almost all my career, but when I came out of after a 4-hour exam, I was brain dead. So you really have to know your stuff going in. Now, where do you get these 35 hours of project management related education or the knowledge for preparing for an exam? Well, interestingly, the Diploma of Project Management provides the 35 hours of education. So it becomes the smarter pathway to getting a certification. Get the diploma first, and then with your experience, then you can actually get a certification. Now, here is something a lot of people don't understand. See, most certifications, including the Project Management Professional, require to maintain points to keep the certification valid or to recertify after a number of years. Whereas a qualification is different. See, once you have it, you get to keep it. And that is why the Diploma of Project Management is the most sought after qualification, as it recognises the role of the project manager. The Australian Diploma of Project Management under the Australian Qualifications Framework is internationally recognised. And interestingly, if you do have the experience working as a project manager, then you may be able to get a diploma through what the Australian government calls the Recognised Prior Learning or RPL process. This is where you leverage your experience, but I still have some concern if you're not using the right workplace templates guiding good practices in project management, or your knowledge may not be complete in the principles and practices of project management. So you may have been taught on the job, and it's going to come down to who taught you and what you looked into and how you educated yourself. Because if you haven't been trained, then clearly you may not even know what you don't know. See, I train very experienced project managers, even those running complex multi-million dollar projects that come to basic project management training and then have the aha moment as they've come across the tool or the technique or the psychology smarts on how it is used that will go back and resolve some of the issues they're experiencing in the workplace. These simple insights can help project managers like you to have less headaches and more success with your projects. Now, the Diploma of Project Management follows the 10 knowledge areas of Project Management Institute's PMBOK, otherwise known as a Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge. These include scope management, schedule management. By the way, that was called time management before, but then they realised you can't change time, you can only change the schedule. You have cost management, resource management, which was previously called human resource management. Then you have quality management, communications, stakeholder, which was the 10th knowledge area they added, procurement, risk and integration management. Remember, integration management covers, it's like the glue, where all the other ones are the bricks, it's like the cement. And it actually goes about explaining that if you mess around with any of the other 9 knowledge areas, you're actually impacting at least 2. For example, if I'm running late but I can't move the date, I might need to bring in more human resources. But by bringing in more resources, I'm effectively also increasing the cost. That's why if you've memorised all those 9, as soon as you start messing with one, you know you've impacted at least 2. Now, you also need to know the process of things like issues management, change, otherwise known as variation management, lessons learnt management, in fact, the whole project management lifecycle and templates. And those templates often we refer to, put together, as a project management methodology or a framework. So understanding all this, let me tell you about the FastTrack approach to your pathway to become an internationally recognised and qualified project manager. See, the RPL or Recognised Prior Learning process has a number of parts. The first is that it has essay-based questions that helps you demonstrate your knowledge. Now, I can support you with this via our e-learning materials for anything that you don't know or that you need to refresh yourself on. It also requires workplace evidence. Now, namely the project management plan that includes all the subsidiary plans such as the work breakdown structure, the risk management plan, communications plan, procurement plan, quality management plan, all these plans, as well as the closeout report. By having these 2 documents, that shows us that you've planned a project and you've actually executed one and you've effectively taken one to close out. Now, that means that workplace evidence you have to be as the project manager. But the good news is you can go back 2 years in the past and apply the knowledge that you're now including and putting them back into one of those projects if you hadn't already completed the project in its full detail. So I can also support you with that because I can give you proven workplace templates just in case your current templates are missing elements that are needed in the assessment. And then you go back and just fill in those pieces. In fact, you can use that template to compare to the templates you may be using to see if there's any areas of missing or improvement opportunities. There are other elements such as getting third-party validation from a senior executive in your workplace who can validate that you have multiple experiences as a project manager. So to recap, if you're an experienced project manager, and even if you have a PMP certification already, I can help you get the Diploma of Project Management. Now this includes the allocation of a qualified project manager assessor who is a highly experienced project manager themselves, and the e-learning materials just in case you need a refresher or you want to go back and educate yourself in some of the areas you may feel you need more knowledge in, and the workplace templates that can help you use in your organisation or use just to help you fill in the gaps for the assessment process. Now don't miss out on opportunities. Put yourself first by preparing yourself for an even more exciting career as an experienced and qualified project manager. I look forward to supporting you and hopefully personally congratulating you as an internationally recognised and qualified project manager.